It is fair to say that there's been a lot of excitement in the Mercedes camp as the team prepares to avenge their mediocre performance last season with a hopefully new and improved package that will return them to championship-winning form. However, while there are some signs that progress is being made at the factory, there are also many signs to the contrary. In this video, we're going to look at why Mercedes might be in trouble, using news from Red Bull, Ferrari, and historical precedent to make our case. So sit back and enjoy the show. And if you're a Mercedes fan, maybe grab a box of tissues while you're at it. Red Bull is confident sanctions will have little effect. Mercedes appeared unassailable from the top, and they only lost the 2021 Drivers' Championship due to a misinterpretation by a race director. But the fact is that despite their continued success and dominance, Red Bull were able to push harder year after year and seized on the new car design for 2022 to become clearly the superior team. And given the magnitude of their dominance last season, retaining that dominance is a safe bet. One factor that may cast doubt on that assumption is the reduction in their aero testing. After winning the Constructors' Championship, the team was already set to receive the lowest aerodynamic development allocation for next year. This was reduced even further after it was discovered that they had exceeded the budget cap in 2021. Red Bull's allocated time and usage figures for wind tunnel and computational fluid dynamic testing were reduced by 10% in addition to the $7 million fine for that violation. As a result, they will be allowed 63% of the baseline aerodynamic testing allocation, down from 70%. With Ferrari coming in second with 75%. Red Bull's Chief Technology Officer, Adrian Newey, however, says the lower level of testing allowed will make little difference if approached correctly. The reduction of wind tunnel testing means we can therefore evaluate less different components, less different ideas. If we're really smart and always put on the right things on the model, then of course it doesn't make much difference. Red Bull's star driver Verstappen feels the same way and reckons that the team's restrictions will give them extra motivation to make the best of their situation. I mean, it will affect us, but how much? I don't know yet, said Verstappen. I'm confident that the team and the people we have can use that as extra motivation to try and do even better. I know, of course, they always give their best, but we have a very competitive car. We have a lot of great ideas. Given the level of expertise available to Red Bull, led by the brilliant mind of Adrian Newey, it is difficult to imagine any major blunders that will allow Mercedes to catch up. But even if they do, there's yet another danger lurking around the corners for the Silver Arrows. Ferrari could make a leap in performance. Ferrari started last year in fine style with a 1-2 finish at the season opener, while Charles Leclerc took a brace of victories from the first 3 races. However, Leclerc and Ferrari's early challenge was quickly overshadowed by a combination of strategic errors, unreliability, and driver mistakes. But despite the disappointment of falling short last time out, Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz has taken many positives from the experience and believes Ferrari are on their way to close the performance gap with Red Bull. I feel we have chances. I mean, Red Bull has been dominant, but they've been dominant without being clearly ahead in pace. I don't feel like we are so far behind in terms of car development and car performance. And if you think about it, I was on pole in Austin. We were 1-2 in quali. It must be that our car is actually not that far from the Red Bull. What we need to focus on is in trying to understand the 2023 tires and see how we can be quicker in the race, because it's clear that the Red Bull is particularly quick in the race compared to us. For the strategy, race execution, tire management, that's another step that we want to take, that we are already working on. But in terms of pure performance, we are not far away. We just need to put on a bit more power and a bit more downforce in the car, and we're going to be at the same level, or faster. So let's hope that we can do that. Sainz and Leclerc will form an unchanged driver lineup at Ferrari in 2023, though former team principal Mattia Binotto will be replaced with the appointment of ex-Alfa Romeo boss Frederic Vasseur. This could prove to be a critical piece of the puzzle, as Binotto has been blamed for many of Ferrari's mistakes. And if Ferrari can get their car up to par with Red Bull and fix the issues, it will be yet another team in the way of Mercedes' quest to reclaim the lead. Historically, big swings in the front don't happen in the second season of a new era. One of the primary goals of Formula One's recent rule changes has been to narrow the field. And according to conventional wisdom, the longer the rules remain stable, the closer the competition becomes. So the hope is that things will tighten up between the top 3 teams in 2023. However, the most recent history of F1 and the current situation in the sport indicate that it will not be that simple, and there could be a painful reality check for those expecting it. Given that F1's rules have never been stable for long, there's no shortage of case studies to consider. So we'll keep things brief and look at 3 of the most recent major changes. In 2009, the first season of the skinny aerodynamic regulations produced a remarkably close field, with only a 1.4% gap covering the top 10. The spread increased dramatically throughout the field in the second season, with Red Bull remaining the fastest car on average despite failing to convert that to a title the year before. The introduction of the 1.6-litre V6 turbo engines in 2014 had a significant impact on the competitive order, with Mercedes dominating and Red Bull, which had led the way for the previous 4 seasons, slumping due to Renault's engine problems. The second season saw little change. In fact, Mercedes was more dominant, failing to win only 3 races with a wider spread from front to back. If you only look at the top 5, the gap was about 1/3 wider than the previous year, with Red Bull falling even further behind. In 2017, F1 introduced broader cars with more downforce and wider tires. Mercedes remained on top, as was typical during this era. But aside from Sauber's victory and Williams' continued decline, there was little change in the field's closeness for the second year of the regs. The pattern is clear when looking at these 3 recent major rule changes. There's no less of a gap between the top teams in the second year after a regulatory change. In fact, the opposite effect was observed, with leading teams increasing their lead over their competitors. For perhaps the first time since 2014, this does not bode well for Mercedes. Apart from the technical aspects of the competition, Formula One is also a big mental game. And you'd be lying if you didn't admit that Red Bull has the edge over Mercedes when it comes to the mental game between their star drivers. Hamilton has lost confidence. While 2022 was a difficult year for the team, it was especially difficult for Hamilton, who had to endure the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and miss out on a record-breaking 8th world title. Hamilton has been very open in this case, speaking on several occasions about his mental struggles over the years. "It's been such a tough year already with everything that is happening around us," he said. "I have struggled mentally and emotionally for a long time. To keep going is a constant effort, but we have to keep fighting. We have so much to do and to achieve." While we don't want to put someone down for struggling with mental health, as many others do around the world, it is undeniable that it can have a negative impact on a star athlete's ability to perform at their best. Even Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin has admitted as much. "I think for Lewis it was particularly challenging coming off the back of 2021, the Brit said. "He knew how he wanted to respond in 2022 and we were unable to give him a car to allow him to play that role. And it was definitely a difficult time, but I think the process has been good for the team." Hamilton's confidence in himself and his team will have been shaken by the numerous disappointments he has endured over the last 2 years. And if there is one driver on the grid who has complete faith in himself and his team, it is Max Verstappen. Even if the Dutchman does not receive such a dominating package this season, he will have more confidence in himself to overcome any major pitfalls. The circumstances are also completely different. While Hamilton may be seen as looking to end his career on a high note, Verstappen's career has really only just begun. That is yet another psychological factor in Verstappen's favor, and it could have a significant impact on their performance this season. Overall, while there is a lot of optimism coming from the Mercedes camp, There are also a lot of factors pointing away from the Silver Arrows making an incredible comeback. Of course, it remains to be seen how the two teams will square off, and it's always possible that our assessment is incorrect. But what are your thoughts? Is Mercedes truly in trouble? Or do they have what it takes to turn things around this season? How do you think Hamilton and Verstappen will fare against one another? Please let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it and subscribing. Be sure to click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching.